Let's go ahead and get into the news. We begin with the latest from Wisconsin, where the man accused of driving his SUV into a Christmas parade will appear in court today. 39-year-old Daryl Brooks of Milwaukee is charged with 5 counts of first-degree intentional homicide. Police say he was fleeing a domestic incident when he drove through barricades and entered the parade route, killing 5 people and injuring 48 others. This tragedy hit close to home for a Glendive, Montana teacher. She grew up in Waukesha and still calls it her hometown.
My nieces were there. My high school friends were all there. My best friend saved her own mother. Literally, she saved her mother's life.
Brooks was out on bail from an incident earlier this month in which he's accused of running over a woman with his car. His motive for the parade incident is still unknown. And we have the latest on a truly heinous crime out of Missoula. A mother is now facing murder charges for killing her 2 young children. 34-year-old Leanna Gardapi is accused of stabbing her 3-year-old daughter and 5-year-old son to death. Sheriff's deputies responded to her house after she called 911, claiming she saved her babies. A note found at the scene read, "It was the only way that we all wouldn't burn. Now I'm the only one of us that will." Gardapi appeared in court yesterday where the judge set a hefty bond.
There is no amount of bail that you could post where you could be safely released from jail. And so my job is to set an amount that you have no possible hope of posting. That will be $10 million. I do not know what your financial resources are. I assume that this is a number that you have no possible ability to make, and that is the reason explicitly why I said that.
Gardapi is expected to undergo a mental evaluation before her next hearing, which has been set for December 6th. In Georgia, the jury will hear from the prosecution one last time before deliberations begin in the trial of the 3 men accused of killing Ahmad Arbury. CBS's Elise Preston breaks down the arguments made to the jurors.
The trial of Ahmad Arbery's killing is expected to go to the jury today. Prosecutors will make one final rebuttal to the defense's closing arguments before the nearly all-white jury decides the fate of Travis McMichael, Gregory McMichael, and William Roddy Bryan.
All 3 of these defendants made assumptions about what was going on that day, and they made their decision to attack Ahmad Arbery in their driveways because he was a black man running down the street.
Whatever overwhelming reason he had to avoid being captured that day and arrested by the police, he chose to fight.
The 3 men face murder, aggravated assault, and false imprisonment charges. Prosecutors argue Travis McMichael chased down Arbury for 5 minutes without any evidence Arbury had committed a crime before pulling the trigger in last year's deadly encounter. Defense attorneys claim the 3 suspected Arbury of burglary and were trying to make a citizen's arrest. 10 days of testimony concluded last week. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
If the defendants are found guilty, they could face life in prison. If you are tired of paying high prices at the pump, some temporary relief is on the horizon. President Joe Biden will release 50 million barrels of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. It's something many have been pushing for in Washington, D.C. as gas prices soar. The move will likely keep costs down during the holiday season. However, releasing barrels from emergency reserves is not a long-term solution because it doesn't solve the underlying supply-demand mismatch. There is a limited supply, and reserves are typically only used for natural disasters or wars. Something else to ease our wallets. A new report shows fuel economy in cars is improving. The average fuel economy for cars reached 25.4 miles per gallon in 2020. That's a half-gallon increase since 2019. Well, it's good news that we're getting more for our money, but still not on track with the Biden administration's goal. It hopes to make 52 miles per gallon the new standard by 2026. Good news, the busiest ports in the country say progress is being made in the supply chain backup. The ports of Long Beach and Los Angeles say the amount of cargo sitting on the docks has dropped 33% since October. The drop coincides with the announcement of new fees for companies who failed to remove their cargo in a timely manner. The ports account for 40% of sea cargo entering the United States. Target now says its stores will be closed every Thanksgiving. The move marks a permanent line in the sand on the pre-pandemic pattern of starting Black Friday a day earlier. Critics had long argued the retailers to shut their doors to allow employees to stay home with their families. Many stores implemented the policy last year during the pandemic. It is shaping up to be one of the deadliest semesters for gun violence at schools nationwide. CBS's Laura Podesta spoke to survivors and psychiatrists about what's behind the growing problem.
Moments before Spanish class at her California high school in 2019, Mia Tretto was shot by a fellow student.
There was a bang. Another bang came and I found myself on the ground.
The bullet plunged deep into the teenager's abdomen, an injury doctors say could affect her ability to have children. After a decrease in classroom violence in 2020, thanks primarily to learning from home during the pandemic, school shootings are again on the rise. 2021 has seen the most gunfire on school grounds in the nation's history, 139 incidents, resulting in 28 deaths and 80 injuries, according to Everytown, an organization for gun safety. Psychiatrist Dr. Charles Herrick blames isolation from the pandemic.
When it comes to your patients, the teens who you see, has their mental health deteriorated during the pandemic? Are they worse off right now?
They're in greater distress. And I think, part of the issue has to do with trying to help them to normalize it.
Dr. Herrick also says stress brought on by social media has created a mental health crisis among our country's young people. David Hogg, a survivor of the nation's deadliest school shooting in Parkland, Florida, wants lawmakers to step in.
I think in some senses what the pandemic is unfortunately showing us is major gaps within our social safety net in this country.
He's pushing for universal background checks and regulations to stop someone with a history of mental illness from acquiring a gun. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
Mia is filing a lawsuit against the manufacturer of the ghost gun that was used in the school shooting that injured her and 2 others and then led to the deaths of 2 students. She's also hoping more people become aware of how the pandemic could impact a person's emotional health. Billings business owners, you're going to want to make sure your fire and burglar alarm systems are in order. The City Council just passed a law that will fine owners of commercial properties $250 for its 3rd false alarm and $250 more for every false alarm after that. Local police and firefighters respond to thousands of false alarms every year. Leaders hope this new fine system will reduce that number significantly.
Motivation, to maintain your system and make sure that you don't have things hanging down, set security alarms off, and that you're paying attention to it, rather than just, hey, let's just send the police department and let them check it out.
These laws do not apply to private property owners, just those who own commercial buildings. People across the country are lining up for their COVID-19 booster shot. More than 3 million people have gotten their boosters since the CDC recommended it for everyone last Friday. 135 million people are now eligible for booster shots. Health officials continue to push for people to get their shots as the average for daily new cases has risen to nearly 93,000. The news comes as we remember the lives we lost locally during the pandemic. A special ceremony was held outside Riverstone Health's building on Monday. Q2's Casey Conlon was there.
On this small patch of grass outside the Riverstone Health campus sits a sobering reminder today. 437 blue flags, one for each of the lives lost in Yellowstone County due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And it all comes today on National Public Health Thank You Day.
Today is not only Public Health Thank You Day. These flags are also symbolizing one less chair at the Thanksgiving table this year.
About 20 workers gathered on the lawn for a moment of silence to remember those lost. Barbara Schneeman has had to write a press release for every one of them.
It doesn't get any easier. It actually gets a little bit sadder each time. There's nearly 450 flags out there. Right. That's tremendous. That is a lot of people in our community who are no longer here.
Usually organizations around the country mark the day for celebration of public health contributors, but Schneeman admits this year is filled with different emotions.
It is very sad to see deaths continue, recognizing that many families in our community will not have loved ones there due to the pandemic. It's especially hard, and it's a time to reflect.
Schneeman also wants people to remember this time last year, which marked Montana's worst in its battle with the first round of the pandemic. She fears history might repeat itself.
I am personally concerned about seeing a rise in cases after the holidays. If they are around people that are not vaccinated or they do not know their vaccination status, please mask up. If you are not feeling well, don't go to that holiday gathering.
She's not looking forward to the reality of another press release turning into another flag. Casey Conlon, MTN News.
That does it for news on this Tuesday. Now, here we have Miller with the forecast.
All right, thanks a lot, Ann. Good morning, everyone. Getting ready for the long holiday weekend. Quick blast of winter, and then it's kind of quiet. Still going to be windy on Thanksgiving Day. Old man winter comes in tomorrow morning and then goes away, and we start to warm right back up again. Partly cloudy today, mountain snow as we get into the afternoon. Later on this evening, we'll start to see some rain coming in Billings. Tomorrow morning, we have a chance to see some snow showers here in the Magic City, and then we'll clear out in the afternoon. Partly cloudy and windy on Thanksgiving Day. You can see the clouds out there right now across Yellowstone County. We'll see some breaks for some sunshine as we go along, but as we get into the afternoon, those clouds will start to build up, and that's when that much needed moisture starts to come into play. 38 right now at the airport, feels like 30. Winds out of the southwest at about 13 miles an hour. Take a look at temperatures across the viewing area quickly. Miles City and Glendive tag teaming. You've been tag teaming all morning with your temperatures. You're sitting at 27 right now. Jordan at 26, round up a little warmer at 35. We've got 26 in Columbus. Warmer in Red Lodge. Got that cloud cover there, keeping that heat in. You're sitting at about 40 and 33 currently in Livingston. Across the state, Helena, chilly, downright cold, 17 right now. A little colder in Butte. You're just coming out of the single digits. You're at 10 right now. 22 in Missoula. Other side there, Glasgow at 33, 31 in Williston, down in Sheridan, some cloud cover, and 28. You'll notice up in the northwest corner, already starting to see that rain and snow come into play. Here comes that cold front with some cooler temperatures on the back end of that. Those clouds will start to kick up as we get into this afternoon. That'll give us some snow in the Beartooths and the Absarokas. Also, we'll see some in the Bighorns later on this afternoon into the evening. For Billings, we'll see some rain tonight. As that front passes, it'll transition to snow overnight, less than a half an inch of accumulation. And then high pressure takes over. We'll start to dry out again, and we'll see some gap flow on Thursday, and that's really going to start to kick those winds in. They'll be chasing behind that cold front as well. A little closer look at the snow. There's the Beartooths and the Absarokas, where we have the snow a little bit later on this afternoon as we head toward the evening. We'll add in the Bighorns after 5, 6 o'clock tonight. Rain later this evening here in Billings, and then that cold front comes through, and there's that transition to some snow showers as we get into the overnight. Maybe between 2 and 8 is what we're looking at. Want to point this out. South and east of Yellowstone County, we could see some slushy conditions tomorrow because of that snow, so it'll have little impact really on the travel conditions, but I want to throw that out there anyway. How much are we looking at in accumulation? I mentioned this all the way through tomorrow afternoon. We're looking at less than half an inch, really just trace amounts except in the higher elevations, and then we'll push it out to Thanksgiving at lunchtime, and you can see there's still folks maybe traveling Thanksgiving morning, so not much of a difference there between tomorrow and Thursday in terms of that accumulation. High today at 46 in Livingston. We'll go 52 for my friends down in Cody, 54 in Miles City, 56 in Sheridan. High today of 55 here in Billings, but much cooler tomorrow behind that front before we start to warm back up as we get into Thanksgiving and beyond.
All right, folks, it's time to get out those snow boots. No one wants some wet, cold feet. So just go big or go home, put on the boots, wear them. Better safe than sorry, and you'll have some nice warm feet throughout the day, no matter how much we get. So I know I have mine ready.
Are you ready?
I made the mistake of not wearing them before, but no, I'm just gonna let it happen. Okay. All right, thank you so much for being here with us today. We really do appreciate it, and we will see you back here tomorrow.